morning. Great to see all of you, and great to see you, Ronald. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Yeah, thank you. Good to see everyone here.
So I'm not sure that many CEOs have had a better first year than you. I just want to run through some stats, but you generated a net profit of $1.3 billion US, breaking a 3-year streak of losses, the highest operating profit for your company since 2010. And your first year as CEO, it's not too bad. So I'm curious, and by the way, you were the hardest airline hit during the pandemic. So that kind of bounce back is pretty unprecedented. One more stat, you carried 20 million passengers across the Cathay Group last year, up from 2 million the year before. So quite a comeback. I'm curious, is that sustainable and how did you do it?
Sure. I must mention that I think before the record result last year, we had really tough 3 years of the pandemic. As you mentioned, we were the hardest airline of the world. We had the domestic border closed with Chinese mainland, and we had the international border closed. So for a long time during the 3 years, we had less than 5% of passenger flights running. And we lost 34 billion Hong Kong dollar during those 3 years. So the fact that we have managed to survive was indeed a miracle. And it's against that backdrop, we bounced back last year in our first year of the rebuild. But even though I want to take a lot of the credit, but I wouldn't, because we were just in a good situation because the first year after Hong Kong opened up, there was a lot of pent-up travel demand. And then the supply side wasn't catching up fast enough. So we had some tailwind helping us last year. So it's not sustainable. And our focus is that to make sure that we create a successful 2 years, 2024, 2025, to make it consistent. Last year was circumstantial, I would say. And this year and next year will be more back to our fundamentals, which we've been working really hard on. So hopefully we can generate more consistent financial success in these 2 years as well.
And so what were some of the things you did during the pandemic that set you up to sort of pop this year? I mean, yes, the travel demand came back, that helps. Although it's not fully back, tourism is only up, I think, about 47% to what it was. And your planes, I know you were aiming to get them at 100% capacity. They're not quite there yet. But still, like, what were the things that you did while things were kind of stark to set yourself up to rebuild now?
Sure. Well, 3 years of the pandemic, it was tough, as I mentioned, but apart from firefighting, trying to survive, I asked my team, right, let's take the opportunity. So the whole leadership team, we also spend the other half of our time and energy to look at how we can transform our business so that after the pandemic, we can come out stronger. So there's a saying that never waste a crisis, right? So we didn't waste a crisis. We have done a lot of step changes in our business. For example, we organized our Cathay Group into 4 lines of business: premium travel, low-cost travel, cargo, and lifestyle. We've also done a lot with our cost efficiency, productivity measures, so that one day when we come out from the pandemic, it will be a stronger and better Cathay than before.
So you, being that this is your core hub, I mean, I think Cathay has always been sort of this global super connector, much like all of Hong Kong is, and it's known to the world. You have the benefit of mainland China and that market, but you're also available to international markets. So it seems that your vibrancy is quite tied to Hong Kong, and Hong Kong's is quite tied to yours. You recently joined the Tourism Strategy Committee of Hong Kong, and as I mentioned before, the daily visitor arrivals are only at about 47% of pre-pandemic levels. So what do you think is needed to make the full recovery, not just for your company, but for Hong Kong?
Sure. I think firstly, Cathay and Hong Kong are closely tied. And Cathay's unique position actually is also Hong Kong's unique position, which is we are deep roots in Hong Kong. Cathay has been more than 77 years rooted in Hong Kong. And we are proudly part of China, which is very unique. And then we connect the world, right? So how we play that strength, just like Hong Kong does, is really important. So Hong Kong, mainland, and then international. I think that's our secret sauce for success in the future. As to Hong Kong, currently as the home carrier of Hong Kong, our passenger capacity is roughly at 80% of pre-pandemic level, which is pretty good already because we only started early last year, and within a little bit more than a year, we are already at 80%. So we are no slower than any major hub of the world. And part of that drive is to make sure that we allow Hong Kong people to go out, to travel internationally. But very important to Hong Kong's economy is to allow visitors, whether it's for business, for leisure, to come into Hong Kong. So with 80% flights, actually we have prioritized Hong Kong people going out and then visitors coming in. And on our flights, actually these two types of traffic are already 100% of the pre-pandemic level. What is lagging behind is the transit traffic via Hong Kong, which we will continue to rebuild in the coming months. But in terms of visitors coming in, like this event, many of you are from overseas, and many of you flew in on Cathay Pacific. So I think that's really our priority, to make sure that business visitors, leisure visitors can come in smoothly into Hong Kong.
Yeah, I was one of those who flew in on Cathay. I was like, oh, I'm interviewing Ronald. I must fly his airline, and it was a great experience. And I have to say, I was really happy to see it was an Airbus. I know that you just ordered a bunch of new Airbus planes, even before Boeing really started having the hard times it's been having. It's actually our new cover story is on how Boeing has broken down of late. I'm curious, how concerned are you with what's happening at Boeing? You have both Boeing and Airbus planes. We're seeing in the United States, United is under FAA investigation for having 10 safety incidents in the last 2 weeks, including tires coming off and all sorts of things. How do you view safety in general in the industry, and how concerned are you about Boeing's situation?
I would say in general, the aviation industry is the safest ever. As we improve on our practices, policies, processes, and technology, we are safest than ever, I would say, in general. And I can't comment in detail about other airlines or the OEM's safety issues, but as to Boeing, right, we have been in close partnership with them for so many years. And yes, they have some immediate issue they need to tackle, but I do have faith, right, they will come out strong in time. And traditionally, we have both Airbus and Boeing, and we really want to keep that competition intact. And then up and coming is in our country, COMAC is up and coming. So we're also very hopeful that we can create another source of competition, what we call the ABC, Airbus, Boeing, and COMAC, right? I think that's the triangular competition, hopefully, for the future when it comes to the aircraft manufacturing market.
And your new reimagined business suite, Aria, launches later this year. So if you're flying in the fall, it sounds like a great option. But it's on Boeing, correct?
Yes, it will be on our 777-300ER. It's a retrofit program. In fact, after the pandemic, apart from busy rebuilding in different dimensions, another thing we've been working really hard on with the board is catching up on our investments. Because during the pandemic, we couldn't do a lot of investment. But for Hong Kong, the 3-runway system is going to be operational by end of this year. So these 2 years, we need to prepare ourselves well for that huge expansion in Hong Kong. So we'll be making a lot of investment on our fleet, as you mentioned, as well as our product. So the Aria suite, the new business class on 777-300ER is just one for this year, new product. And then next year, we'll have our new first class on 777-9, which is a new fleet joining us next year. And then the year after, we'll retrofit our A330 regional aircraft, and they will all be equipped with flatbed business class, even for regional flying as well.
So as you're thinking about the reimagined flying experience, how are you thinking about innovation and where technology is appropriate and can make things so much better, and where the human touch is important too? You were actually the former chief customer officer, right?
Yeah. Sure. Well, Cathay is a pretty old airline, I would say. We are turning 78 years this year. But during the pandemic, part of our transformation is to reinvent ourselves. And we have defined a one of our picture of success is to become a digital leader. And we've been doing a lot to make that happen. And one model we use to innovate digitally is what we call Cafe Innovate. We have a systematic way of innovating where we have a process consisting of ideating, right? We collect ideas internally, externally through signature event like Cafe Hackathon, Disrupt Cafe Workshop, etc. And then we have funding and resources for incubating to do proof of concept of selected ideas, and then we fail fast if necessary. And then we implement, right? In an agile way, we have a Cafe Agile methodology to make sure that we implement in a timely manner. So that model is maturing, and we've been therefore unleashing a lot of our digital capability. For example, right, we are very big on machine learning. So over the past 18 months, we have created more than 60 machine learning models across our business, whether it's on the customer front, commercial front, operational front. We are using those models already. And recently, we've been doing a lot of proof of concept on generative AI as well, applying it in our chatbot, in our predictive maintenance and content generation, etc.
So one thing also is, maybe someday we'll have an area where planes can fly themselves completely without pilots. I don't think we're there yet. Right now, so many companies are tied to just labor shortages in general, and I think the airline industry and for Cathay as well, you're experiencing that. Pilots themselves are down to about 35%, I think, of what you would hope for. How are you thinking about retention, recruiting those pilots, and building the workforce of the future as well to fly your Cathay flights?
Sure. Well, coming out from the pandemic, we have a short-term shortage of resources, including pilot, cabin crew, ground employees. But that's only temporary. We don't have any structural issue. And we are there to grow back our workforce. So currently we have around 24,000 employees across the group. And this year we'll grow the total workforce by 5,000. So we'll be back to 29,000. And we're very confident to achieve that. Our attrition rate across all employee groups since Hong Kong opened up has normalized. So we don't have an issue in terms of attrition. And we're turning on the recruitment and training machine. To grow by 5,000 in 1 year is unprecedented in our history. So we have a gigantic task to do. But I think now we are 3 months into the year. We have been making good progress. And apart from recruiting from Hong Kong, we also recruit in Chinese mainland, both our cadet pilot program, we've opened up to Chinese mainland residents, as well as for the first time last year, we started to recruit cabin crew from Chinese mainland and have been making good progress. Of course, we also continue to recruit internationally. And going back to our unique position, the same with our organization. We have a lot of Hong Kong employees, increasingly more Chinese mainland employees, and we'll keep a good portion of our international background employees. And this is our unique position and secret sauce for success, I believe, for the future.
And I think you just gave them all a fairly large bonus, equivalent to 7 weeks worth of pay. And Delta has also employed that. I recently interviewed Ed Bastian, and starting in like 2008, right after their bankruptcy and all sorts of stuff, they started this profit sharing program, which has done wonders for their morale. And it sounds like you're starting to do something similar.
Yes. Well, as we would build, I put our people as the first priority. Because when our people are happy, they will make our customers happy. And when the customers are happy, we should generate good business and the shareholders will be happy. So I'm working in that sequence. So when we came out from the pandemic, the first thing we thought about is how to reward our people. And thanks to the board, I think we get their support. And actually in the last 1 year, we have given out up to 4 months worth of additional pay to our people to both reward them for their loyalty and support during the pandemic, as well as to reward their effort in the first year of the rebuild. And I can see, right, it's been well received and the morale has been going up, so which is good and which has had an impact on our customer service as well. Right? Because when I look at all the latest customer insight, is also on an upward trend. So I'm really pleased with that.
Well, Ronald, congratulations on your first year as CEO. A lot's been achieved. It sounds like more to go, but you've got a plan. And thank you for sharing some of your insights with us here today.
Yeah, thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you.